The fluorescent lights of the supermarket cast everything in that particular harsh glow that made everyone look tired and washed out. At 9 o'clock on a Wednesday evening, the store was nearly empty, just a few stragglers picking up forgotten items, the night shift stockers beginning their rounds, and the weary cashiers counting down to closing time. David Matthews stood in the express lane, waiting to pay for his bottle of scotch and frozen dinner. The same routine he'd maintained for the past 18 months. At 43, he was the chief financial officer of Brennan Industries, a Fortune 500 manufacturing company. He wore a navy suit even at this hour, his dark hair graying at the temples in a way his assistant said made him look distinguished. His watch cost more than some people's cars. He was also profoundly, achingly lonely. His wife Rebecca had died a year and a half ago. Breast cancer, discovered too late, progressed too quickly. They'd been married for 12 years and hadn't been able to have children, something they'd both mourned, but accepted. Rebecca had filled his life with warmth and laughter and purpose. Without her, his expensive house felt like a mausoleum, and his successful career felt hollow. So he worked late, came home late, ate frozen dinners he barely tasted, and tried not to think too much about the emptiness. The line moved forward, and David found himself standing behind a young woman who was clearly having some kind of crisis at the register. She had blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, wore a gray coat that had seen better winters, and held an infant in her arms, maybe 4 or 5 months old, wearing a mint green onesie and a white knit cap. A young girl, perhaps 3 or 4 years old, stood beside the woman, wearing a blue polka dot dress and looking up at her mother with worried eyes. "I'm sorry," the young woman was saying to the cashier, her voice tight with barely controlled emotion. "I need to return this. I thought I had enough on my card, but it was declined. I don't have the money right now." She was holding a can of baby formula. The cashier, a middle-aged woman with the tired patience of someone who'd seen everything, was already processing the return. "That's fine, honey. Do you have your receipt?" "Yes, here." The young woman fumbled in her coat pocket with one hand, while balancing the baby with the other. She found the crumpled receipt and handed it over. David watched as she held the baby closer, as if trying to shield the infant from the indignity of this moment. The older child tugged on her mother's coat. "Mama, is the baby going to be hungry?" "Shh, Lily, it's okay. We'll figure it out." But the young woman's voice cracked, and David saw her blink rapidly, fighting tears. The cashier completed the return and handed back a small amount of cash. "Here you go. Have a better evening." "Thank you." The woman took the money with a shaking hand and turned to leave. And something inside David broke. He didn't plan it, didn't think about it, just acted on an impulse that felt like the first genuine thing he'd done in months. "Excuse me," he called out. The young woman turned, her expression wary. She was younger than he'd initially thought, probably late 20s. Her face was drawn with exhaustion and worry, but there was dignity there too, a quiet strength that came from enduring more than anyone should have to. "I couldn't help but overhear," David said, already pulling out his wallet. "Let me buy that formula for you, and whatever else you need." The woman's eyes widened, then filled with tears. I can't accept that." "Why not?" "Because I don't take charity. Because I'm managing. I just miscalculated tonight." "I'll figure something out." The baby in her arms began to fuss, making small, hungry sounds. The little girl, Lily, looked between her mother and David with hopeful, uncertain eyes. "It's not charity," David said gently. "It's one human being helping another. Please, let me do this." He could see the war playing out on her face, pride versus need, dignity versus desperation. The baby's cries grew more insistent, and that decided it. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you. Just the formula. That's all I need." But David had already turned to the cashier. "Ring up the formula, and whatever else she came in to buy." "Just the formula," the woman protested. "Ma'am," the cashier said, her tired face softening into something like compassion. "Let the man help. Lord knows we all need help sometimes." Reluctantly, the young woman placed a few other items on the belt. A loaf of bread, a jar of peanut butter, a gallon of milk, some bananas. Basic staples, the kind of groceries that revealed someone living on the edge, making every dollar stretch. David handed his credit card to the cashier. Add my items too and give me 3 more cans of that formula. Sir, that's too much. It's not too much. It's barely anything. And it was true. The entire transaction would cost him less than the bottle of scotch in his hand, less than the lunch he'd expense accounted that afternoon. The young woman stood silently while the cashier bagged everything. The older child, Lily, tugged on David's coat sleeve. "Are you a helper?" she asked with the solemn directness of small children. "I'm trying to be," David said, crouching down to her level. "What's your name?" "Lily. That's my mama, Anna. And that's my baby sister, Emma. Emma's always hungry. She cries a lot." "Lily, don't bother the man," Anna said, embarrassed. "She's not bothering me." David stood and accepted the receipt from the cashier, then handed the bags to Anna. "I'm David, by the way. Anna Mitchell. And I don't know how to thank you. This is—" "You have no idea what this means." "I think I do," David said quietly. And he did somehow. Not from experience with hunger or poverty, but from knowing what desperation felt like. What it meant to be at the end of your resources and unsure how to keep going. They walked out of the store together into the cool November night. The parking lot was nearly empty. Anna headed toward a bus stop at the edge of the lot. "You're taking the bus?" David asked. "With the baby and groceries?" "It's not far. Just a few stops. Let me drive you home." Anna stopped walking. "I've already accepted too much help for one night." "Anna, it's cold, it's late. You have 2 small children and bags of groceries. Please, let me drive you. My car is right here." He gestured to his BMW, black, sleek, the kind of car that announced success. Anna looked at it, then at her tired daughter and fussing infant, and nodded. "Okay, thank you. We live on Fairmont Street. Do you know where that is?" David did. It was the kind of neighborhood developers called transitional, which meant it was poor but not quite dangerous, full of people working hard to climb out of difficult circumstances, or trying not to slide further down. He loaded the groceries into his trunk while Anna settled the children in the back seat. Emma had started crying in earnest now, that newborn wail that spoke of genuine hunger and distress. As David drove, Anna tried to soothe the baby. "I know, sweetie. I know you're hungry. Just a few more minutes and we'll be home." "How old is she?" David asked, navigating through quiet streets. 4 months. Almost 5. "And Lily?" "Just turned 3. She's a wonderful big sister." Anna's voice was warm when she talked about her children, all the stress and worry temporarily forgotten. "Are you doing this alone?" David asked, then immediately regretted the question. "I'm sorry. That's none of my business. It's okay. And yes, I am. Their father left before Emma was born. Decided he wasn't cut out for family life." There was no bitterness in Anna's voice, just tired acceptance. "It's been hard, but we manage." "What do you do?" "For work, I mean. I was waitressing, but the restaurant closed last month. I've been looking for something new, but it's hard with 2 kids and no money for childcare. I have some interviews lined up, but in the meantime," she trailed off. "In the meantime, you're running out of money for essentials like baby formula." David finished. "I'll figure it out. I always do. I have a friend who sometimes helps with the girls. And I've been applying for assistance programs. Something will come through." They pulled up in front of a small apartment building that had seen better decades. The paint was peeling and one of the streetlights was out. But the building looked solid enough. David helped Anna carry the groceries upstairs to her second-floor apartment. It was tiny, 1 bedroom by the look of it, with a small living room and kitchenette. But it was clean and there were attempts at making it homey. Crayon drawings taped to the walls, a worn stuffed animal on the couch, a small Christmas tree made from construction paper and tinsel. "Thank you again," Anna said, setting the bags on the small counter. "You've been incredibly kind. I don't know how to repay you." "You don't need to repay me." David pulled out his wallet and extracted a business card. "But I meant what I said about wanting to help. This is my card. If you need anything, and I mean anything, call me. If you need more groceries, if you need help with rent, if you just need someone to talk to, call me." Anna took the card and read it, her eyes widening. "You're the CFO of Brennan Industries?" "Yes." "And you're in a supermarket at 9 p.m. buying frozen dinners?" Despite everything, David laughed. "Yes, I'm very successful and very lonely and very bad at taking care of myself. Which is why I recognized a kindred spirit tonight." Anna studied him, and David felt like she was seeing past the expensive suit and the impressive. title to the empty man underneath. "You lost someone," she said. It wasn't a question. "My wife, 18 months ago. I'm sorry. That must be incredibly hard." "It is, but that's not your problem. Your problem is keeping your children fed and housed. And that's where I can actually help." He pulled out his checkbook, old-fashioned, but he still carried one, and wrote a check for $5,000. Anna's eyes went huge when he handed it to her. "I can't accept this. This is too much. This is what I spend on dinners out in a month," David interrupted. "This is nothing to me financially. But it could mean everything to you right now. Please, take it. Pay your rent. Buy groceries. Get through the next few months while you find work. Let this be one less thing you have to worry about." Anna was crying again, silent tears streaming down her face. "Why are you doing this? You don't know me. I could be anyone. You're a mother trying to take care of her children. You're someone who needed help. And I'm someone who has resources and no one to share them with." David's own voice was rough with emotion now. "My wife and I always wanted children. We couldn't have them. And now she's gone. And I have all this money and success and nothing that actually matters. So please, let me help someone who needs it. Let me do something that would have made Rebecca proud." Anna held the check with shaking hands. "I don't know what to say. Say you'll call me if you need anything else. Say you'll let me know how you're doing. I don't want to interfere in your life, but I'd like to know that Emma is getting her formula and Lily is getting her meals, and you're not having to choose between rent and food." "I promise," Anna whispered. "And David? Thank you. You have no idea what this means. You've given me hope when I was running out of it." David left them there, Anna holding her crying baby who would soon be fed, Lily already pulling out the bread to make herself a sandwich. Hope replacing despair in the small apartment. As he drove home to his empty house, David felt something he hadn't felt in 18 months. Purposeful, useful, like maybe there was a reason to keep going beyond just going through the motions. He'd been so lost in his grief, so isolated in his success, that he'd forgotten what it felt like to genuinely connect with another human being, to help someone in a way that actually mattered. Over the following weeks, David stayed in touch with Anna. He helped her prepare for job interviews, used his connections to get her in front of hiring managers, and made sure she had enough money to cover basics while she searched for work. When she got a job offer as an office manager at a company he had connections with, he helped negotiate for a better salary and benefits. But more than that, they became friends. Anna would text him updates about the girls, Emma's first tooth, Lily's new favorite song. David would stop by on weekends with groceries or toys for the children. He became Uncle David to the girls, a steady presence in their lives. And slowly, David's house stopped feeling like a tomb. He started cooking real meals again, started inviting Anna and the girls over for dinner. The guest room that had been empty for so long became Lily's room when she stayed over. Baby Emma's laughter filled rooms that had been silent for too long. 6 months after that night in the supermarket, David stood in Anna's new apartment, larger, safer, in a better neighborhood, partially funded by a loan he'd given her, that she insisted on treating as a real loan with payments, no matter how much he said it was a gift. "You've changed our lives," Anna said, watching Lily play with blocks while Emma napped in her crib. "I don't mean just financially. You've given us stability, hope, a future. You've been there when we needed someone. I'll never be able to thank you enough." "You've changed my life, too," David said honestly. "I was drowning in loneliness and grief. I'd forgotten what it felt like to matter to someone, to have a purpose beyond work and money. You three gave me that back. You gave me a family again." Anna looked at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Is that all we are to you? A project? A way to assuage your grief?" "No," David met her eyes. "At first, maybe, but now you're the people I care about most in the world. Now coming to see you and the girls is the best part of my week. Now the thought of Emma's smile or Lily's stories is what gets me through difficult board meetings." "Good," Anna said softly, "because we care about you too. You've become family, David, not out of obligation or gratitude, but because we genuinely love you." "I love you too," David said and realized it was true. Not romantic love or not just that, though he could feel something growing between them that might one day be romance. But deeper than that, family love, the kind that came from showing up, from caring, from being present in each other's lives. A year after that supermarket encounter, David and Anna were married in a small ceremony, attended by close friends and colleagues. Lily was the flower girl, taking her responsibilities very seriously. Emma, now almost 2, toddled down the aisle, scattering petals randomly and making everyone laugh. David adopted both girls legally, giving them his name and his commitment. He set up trust funds for their education, but more importantly, he was there for bedtime stories and scraped knees and parent-teacher conferences. On their first anniversary, Anna gave David a gift, a framed photograph of that supermarket receipt from the night they'd met, mounted alongside their wedding photo. A reminder, she said, that sometimes the best things in life come from the moments we almost walk away from. If you hadn't spoken up that night, if you hadn't offered to help, we might never have known each other. Our whole family might not exist. David held the frame, looking at the evidence of that chance encounter that had changed everything. I was so lost that night. Going through the motions. I thought my life was over in every way that mattered. And then I saw you trying to return that formula, and something made me speak up. Rebecca, Anna said quietly, I think your wife sent you to us. I think she knew you needed a family, and we needed someone to care about us. I think this was all meant to be. David had never been particularly spiritual, but standing there with Anna in their home, hearing Lily and Emma playing in the next room, he thought maybe she was right. Maybe Rebecca had sent him on that errand, had made sure he was in that store at that moment, had given him one last gift, a new family, a new purpose, a new life. They started a foundation together, the Rebecca Matthews Family Support Fund, providing grants and assistance to single parents struggling to make ends meet. Anna ran it with the passion of someone who'd been there, who knew exactly what families needed and how to help without stripping away dignity. And every year on the anniversary of that supermarket meeting, they would buy baby formula and basic groceries and leave them anonymously at women's shelters and food banks, paying forward the kindness that had changed their lives. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't stopped you that night? Anna asked David one evening while they watched their daughters playing. I try not to, David admitted. Because I know what would have happened. I would have gone home to my empty house and my frozen dinner and my scotch. I would have kept going through the motions of a life that had lost all meaning. I might have survived, but I wouldn't have been living. And I would have figured something out for the girls, Anna said. But it would have been harder. And lonelier. And I don't know if I would have found my way to the life we have now, the stability, the opportunity, the feeling of being part of something larger than just survival. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Lily teach Emma how to stack blocks, listening to the children's laughter fill their home. You know what I've learned? David said. I spent years chasing success, building wealth, achieving all the things society said mattered. And when Rebecca died, I realized none of it meant anything without someone to share it with. I was empty and lost and couldn't see a way forward. He took Anna's hand. But that night in the supermarket, I learned that the way forward wasn't to keep grinding away at work or to drown myself in grief. It was to look outside myself, to see someone else's need, and to help. That's when I started living again. The moment I decided to care about someone else's struggle more than my own comfort. We saved each other, Anna said simply. I needed practical help and you needed purpose. We each had exactly what the other was missing. And that's how the best families are built, David agreed. Not always through blood or traditional paths, but through choosing to show up for each other, through caring when you don't have to, through building something meaningful together. 15 years later, David stood in a different supermarket, this time with purpose and plenty of money. Lily, now 18 and headed to college on a full scholarship, though she didn't need it, given David's resources, was with him, shopping for dorm supplies. Dad, Lily said, using the title she'd called him since she was 4 years old. Do you remember the first time we met? Every detail, David said. You asked me if I was a helper, and you said you were trying to be. Lily smiled. You succeeded, you know. You helped all of us, Mom and Emma and me, but I think we helped you too. You absolutely did. You gave me a family when I thought I'd never have one. You gave me a reason to wake up in the morning. You gave me back my life. They continued shopping, but Lily kept glancing at the checkout lanes. Dad, do you ever see people